All right, welcome to News You Don't Care About. I'm Joshua Chiz.
Jeremiah Chiz.
Josh Chiz also.
Josh Chiz also. All right. Well, we got a lot to talk about. As I was just saying when I didn't start recording, and now that I am recording, I'll say it again. I was thinking last year when we had talked about doing this in 2020 that we're missing all this great news opportunity with COVID and with the protests and the riots, and then we had after that the election, and I thought we missed our window. But I think 2021 is shaping up to be a pretty decent news year also. So we have tomorrow is our inauguration of our new president. So we can talk about that a little bit. There was that incident a couple weeks ago, the Capitol invasion, that we can talk about that. We can talk about the impeachment that ensued, that followed the Capitol invasion. We still have things like questions about election integrity and the stimulus, and we got Josh's Fox News or Babylon Bee. Do we have that today? Yep. All right. And Jeremiah, you have a few things?
Yeah, so I have some news you legitimately won't care about. Everything from, there was a guy who was hiding in a Chicago airport for a couple of months. Oscar Mayer is hiring.
Okay.
And we have maybe some confirmation about aliens. I'm not really sure. We'll have to talk about it a little bit.
All right. Well, what do you want to start with? Anything in particular?
So connect it to coronavirus, like you were just saying. Mm-hmm. This is NPR. They said, man allegedly hid from coronavirus and authorities in Chicago airport for 3 months. He was arrested Saturday, and he was accused of hiding in a restricted area of Chicago's O'Hare International Airport. Man told police that COVID-19 had rendered him too scared to travel home to California, so he hid in the airport, surviving on food provided by strangers.
Oh my goodness. So he's citing coronavirus as the reason he was hiding?
Yep. He faces felony charges of criminal trespass in a restricted area of an airport, as well as misdemeanor theft charges. Wow. Set bail at $1,000.
Can't even blame him. I wouldn't want to go back to California either.
Yeah, I know.
That's crazy. Yeah. 3, you said?
Yeah, for 3 months.
How do you hide for 3 months in an airport? That's amazing.
I have no idea. The restricted section must have been like shut down. Maybe it was under construction or something, and because of COVID that I had to stop.
Yeah. All right. Well, yesterday was a national holiday, and was Martin Luther King Day, Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Day, and I have some news you might not care about regarding that. Actually, I think it's pretty cool, but there's a few things that you might not have known about Martin Luther King. Do you know what his name was at birth?
Doctor.
Doctor. He was not doctor at birth, that's for sure.
Reverend?
He was neither. Was he Reverend? He was not Martin, which is funny because he's Martin Luther King Jr., right? Mm-hmm. But I've never in my life thought of people like just calling him Martin or Marty.
Yeah.
That's weird. Yeah. So his given name when he was born was actually Michael. His dad was Michael, and he was Michael King Jr. And his dad, I think, traveled to Europe. Let's see, you want to go to this, Josh?
Yeah. His
dad traveled to Europe, and let's see, traveled overseas to Rome, Egypt, Jerusalem, Berlin, and when he returned in 1934, he decided to change his name and his son's name from Michael to Martin Luther King. So I thought that was pretty interesting.
Is that based off of Martin Luther?
Yeah, so he was in. Yeah, sorry, I guess I skipped that part. He was inspired by Martin Luther, the Reformation in 1500, and decided he was going to change his and his son's names. So I thought that was pretty interesting. So with the Capitol, we got a lot of news since the Capitol breach, and a lot happening with that. I was going to play some raw footage that came out from New Yorker. Have you seen that raw footage yet, Jeremiah?
Yeah.
You have, in its entirety?
No, just bits and pieces here and there.
Yeah, there's some language in it, so I'll refrain. We don't have the technology to bleep it out. I guess we could just play it and warn you, but it's pretty fascinating stuff. Did you just saw the little introduction that I did, right? You know, there's the guy with the horns in there yelling. There's people looking through stuff, looking for all sorts of evidence, what they can use against our politicians. There's an officer there kind of trying to keep them from getting into too many things and being disrespectful. It's really a fascinating video. But there's been a number of things that have gone on. There's been a ton of FBI arrests. We've seen a whole bunch there. We've had some locally here in central New York. I did come across an article of a guy who, let's see, I don't have it here, but there's a guy who, or there's a home that was basically searched by FBI just about 20 minutes from here. And
Really?
arrest, we don't know what the deal was, but they are doing tons of arrests. There's the guy who stole the USB, right? It was the USB
hard drive from Pelosi.
Yeah, so I did see something about a young lady in Pennsylvania that had, I think, her laptop.
Yeah, but there was a guy who stole her. It was Pelosi's hard drive. I'm gonna guess for maybe her desktop or something.
Okay. And so his name was Christopher Stanton, Georgia, right?
Yes. Yep.
You want to talk about that for a moment?
So he was found dead by his wife with a shotgun blast to the chest. It was ruled a suicide. So he killed himself with a shotgun in the chest. And he apparently flailed around so much after shooting himself in the chest that he threw the shotgun out of his basement window.
Out of his basement window.
Yeah.
We have it pulled up here. This is the Sun. Fulton County Medical Examiner ruled that his death was caused by suicide. Authorities removed 2 semi-automatic SKS rifles from the home, almost implying that those were used, right? Family members
Right.
on the scene were described by police as extremely distressed. There he is there. Oh, and so how did he die? His body was discovered in the basement of his house with a gunshot wound to his chest. According to examiner's reports, authorities have not yet commented on a reason, but it does not say anything here about the gun being out of the home, interestingly. You don't remember where you got that information, right?
No, but there were some articles, I believe, by the Sun that said the wife, like it mentions how when the wife is on the phone with 911, a part of that call is her looking for the gun.
Okay.
But they never say like why she can't immediately see it or where it's at or anything. But an article I read earlier on did say that it was thrown out the window.
Okay. So I contacted a former law enforcement who had done hundreds of suicides, and I said to him, have you ever encountered one where they shot themselves, they shot themselves in the chest? And he cited one. He did say there was one where that took place, and they had taped the gun to their hand or something along those lines. But to say, that he shot himself in his chest and that the gun would be, certainly if it was out the window, that
Right.
it doesn't line up. It seems like there's something more there, but we'll have to keep an eye for news articles, or we'll have to see if the media determines that that's news that nobody cares about and they never follow up with that story.
Yeah.
That very well could be the case. Another interesting thing that's happening is, of course, we talked last week about some of the big tech media fallout, and the banning of our soon-to-be former president from big tech like Twitter and else, Facebook, some of the other things that he was banned from, right? YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram. Was there anything else? Twitch,
Snapchat.
Snapchat too. All right.
His YouTube channel's under fire, if it hasn't been banned already.
So one of the I just lost it. One of the interesting things about that is that he was banned. And do you remember why they're citing banning him from that?
Incitement of violence.
Yeah. So go ahead to go to this, Josh. Do you recognize this guy at all?
He does look a little familiar.
Yeah. So this guy was. There's video of him literally inciting violence.
Yeah.
He's a left-wing activist, and he has been arrested for what he was doing at the Capitol. Yet, as you can see by the headline here, at least as of 2 days ago, this guy's Twitter account was still active. So, Josh, go ahead. So that's another kind of weird fallout from that. And then the last thing that I have with the Capitol deal is that, did you see now that the National Guard troops are being vetted? Did you hear about that?
Are being what?
Vetted?
Oh, I did not.
So I don't know if it was intel or just somebody had the bright idea. I did hear about a congressman saying, well, there are a certain percentage of only 25% of white men voted for Biden. Does that seem impossible? I thought I heard that statistic.
If no, I don't think that would be. I don't think that's accurate.
I'm pretty sure that's
if he got like as many votes as he did.
Right. So what he was saying was, hey, all these white males who are part of the National Guard, there's probably a large percentage of them who did not vote for Biden, and so we need to check them out, and so let's see here. This is not as smooth as I was hoping it would be. Sorry about that. But here, FBI vetting Guard troops in D.C. amid fears of insider attack. And U.S. defense officials say they're worried about an insider attack or other threat from service members, and prompting the FBI to vet all of the 25,000 National Guard troops coming into Washington for the event. All right, get off for a sec. The interesting thing about it is that we have, as of just a couple of hours ago, this says 2. Go ahead and go to this, Josh. This says 2, but it's actually, I thought I saw 12 have been removed from duty because of this.
For what?
Because of either comments that they had made on social media or some sort of association with radical groups. I'm not exactly sure, but
So,
Wow.
because we have younger viewers, what does vetted mean?
do you know what vetted means?
Of course.
I pulled up the definition.
While I was talking.
Yeah.
So to vet somebody is basically to do research and do like background checks and make sure that they're cleared. So, you know, back in the days of, you know, the mob, somebody would vouch for somebody. Vetting is so you know, you don't need to have anyone vouching for anybody. You make sure you check their background. You look at who they are. Anyone vetting you guys down the road is going to probably find this ridiculous podcast and be like, yeah, not hiring this guy. They have terrible creative art skills.
That's exactly
What's that?
the definition.
Yes. That's like the Webster definition, isn't it?
Yeah, just about. Yeah.
Figured.
The Oxford definition is make a careful and critical examination of something. Investigate someone thoroughly, especially in order to ensure that they are suitable for a job requiring secrecy, loyalty, or trustworthiness.
That's pretty much exactly what I said.
Pretty much.
Little embellishment, you know, a little example thrown in there for good measure. So, all right. So, how about we jump into? You mentioned something about the possibility of aliens.
I did. So the former, let me pull up the article here. I'm on Daily Mail UK. The former Canadian Defense Minister, Paul Hellyer, I believe is how you say that name, said that aliens are among us, but they won't share their advanced technology with us yet because of how we utilize nuclear energy for weaponry instead of as an energy source, and because of the amount of pollution that we do. But he did say that the aliens recognize that this is our planet. So
this guy is.
So yes, I'm not sure. He looks old, so I'm gonna guess it's just because he retired. But I can do a quick search.
Okay, you didn't send me this, did you?
No.
Okay. So, go ahead.
He says aliens are real. He's a lizard person, so what do you expect?
Why is he a lizard person?
Because he's a politician.
Oh, okay. Well, what happens if you become a politician? Do you become a lizard person, or does it just mean you always were one?
I'm not gonna say anything on camera, so.
All right. So he's claiming that they're already here. He's claiming that they've got technology that's much more advanced than we have, but they're refraining from letting us utilize it or understand it so that we don't, because we're improperly using nuclear energy, and because we pollute.
Yes. He said there are over 80 species. Some are, he said there's a Nordic species where they look like humans, and then there's other sizes and shapes.
All right.
Did he say what planet?
No, but he did urge other government world leaders to release their classified documents, which he is the second government leader in the world to say something like that recently. So
it was the Israeli guy, right? What was the other one?
Yeah.
That's interesting stuff.
And the I think I mentioned maybe last week or the week before how there was a countdown for the American government to release all of their UFO documents, and they did it a couple of days ago. So people are sifting through that.
Who released what?
So there was a government countdown to release all of the government information on UFOs.
U.S.
Yes.
Okay.
And the countdown, I believe, originally was for June something, but they released it all early.
So it's already released. People are just now.
Yeah.
Okay.
And there's a lot of stuff that people are searching through, and a lot of it's just nothingness. But people are beginning to find some things that are raising some eyebrows.
So our inauguration is tomorrow, but by the time we get together next week, that might be old news. We might be talking about aliens.
Yeah, something.
Might be everything aliens. So, speaking of the inauguration, one thing I've noticed. Have either of you noticed? I don't know if you've been able to catch live news or anything, but have you noticed how many people are already referring to Joe Biden as president?
Yes.
You have noticed that?
Yeah, even on like Fox.
Yeah, they're calling him like it's not president-elect. Like he's not inaugurated, right? So
Right.
President Trump is still president. Tomorrow he will be the former president, but Joe Biden will be president. But now he's still president-elect.
Right.
And I mean, a lot of people on different news stations. I was watching Governor Cuomo today with his budget, and he kept referring to him as the president. And I was just fascinated by that, as though, like, because of everything that took place with Trump, and because he was impeached, it's like, he's no longer our president. And it could just be like them mixing up their words, or just kind of getting ahead of themselves. That's very easy to do when you're on radio or talking on TV, or preaching for many years. You say things, your mind is ahead of your mouth, so you say things that you miss, and so it could be that. But it's scary to me how many things like that are going on. You have, Nancy calling about the codes for the nukes, and then you have her. She just dictated something else too, and she's calling for Biden to not give Trump the briefings that former presidents normally get. And now you have people calling Biden president before he's inaugurated. It's interesting how the things are kind of playing out here.
I've heard President-elect Biden more than I've heard President Trump too.
Yeah. That I get, because it is just easy to say Trump,
Right, but like, if you're going off a respect thing.
Yeah. Yeah. The full presses were on to make sure everybody knew he was in the office of the president-elect.
Yes.
Before Trump was done with his fighting the election results. So, Josh, you got some Fox News or Babylon Bee?
I do.
For our viewing audience, by the way, we talked about big tech already, but the shadow banning is on heavy right now of this podcast. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Yep.
We had dropped down to a third of our previous week's viewership. A third.
So sad.
We dropped.
Ridiculous.
Like 4 million people?
Something like, there are 4 million people in a certain proximity to where we're at. That's for sure. And I've seen videos with 4 million views. That's for sure. So for our viewing audience, Fox News or Babylon Bee. Babylon Bee is a satirical news page, news whatever, and so we have to guess: is this a true news story or a Babylon Bee story?
All right, you ready?
Yep.
All right. So we have Navy to deploy destroyers with new laser attack weapon.
Oh, I'm gonna say that's Fox News.
I'm saying that's real.
Just because I know the military was moving in that direction.
Yep, that's real.
All right.
Insane.
Yeah, no, that's
Partly because I think it didn't have the humorous ring that
Right.
which some of the real stories do. But yeah. Go ahead.
Harvard students seek to revoke Trump graduates' diplomas after Capitol Hill violence.
Say it again.
Harvard students seek to revoke Trump graduates' diplomas after Capitol Hill violence.
Did he go to Harvard? Trump?
No.
Is that what it's saying?
No. Trump.
Is it Trump supporters?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
Which kind of.
Oh.
Yeah. So I know the answer to this one.
I don't, but it could totally be real, but it could totally be the Babylon Bee.
Right.
I'm gonna say, just with everything that's been going on, I'm gonna say that's real.
Yeah. So it could be Babylon Bee because it sounds so ridiculous. Right.
Right. Yeah.
But it is real.
Yes, that is real.
Yeah. So I remember I did hear this story and I was just astounded. You know, people went to school, paid for their schooling, worked hard for their schooling, were given an earned degree, and
Right.
and now our cancel culture, they're talking about yanking those. I don't know what Harvard, does it say what Harvard has said, or how they issued a statement on it?
Harvard University students are now circulating a petition that calls for revoking degrees from Trump supporters and aides who attended the elite Ivy League institution, Fox Business has learned.
That is crazy.
It is, but it's consistent with what we're seeing right now, with this kind of
Right.
assault of anyone that has a different viewpoint. And we talked a little bit about this last week, but that's what's scary to me. It's one thing to, we've been in a different era with the anger and the vitriol and the hatred from one side to the other about viewpoints, right? You disagree with me, so I hate you, or I judge you, or I make, I shame you, whatever the case is. So there's a lot of that going on. But now there's not only that, but there's it's coming from politicians as well, right? So I think you sent me a clip from Andrea Ocasio-Cortez.
Yeah.
Okay, so we, after Fox News or Babylon B, we can go to that. But go ahead.
All right. So we have a vegan YouTuber who said veganism cures cancer, dies of cancer.
Say that again.
Vegan YouTuber who said veganism cures cancer has died of cancer.
Yeah.
Yep, that one's true. Yep, Mari Lopez was her name, and she had breast cancer, said that her veganism would cure it, and then died of the breast cancer she had.
Oh, that's terrible. Why would you think we would think that's Babylon Bee? I don't even think Babylon Bee would make a joke about somebody dying of cancer.
That does remind me, though, of the one vegan who wanted to climb Mount Everest to prove that vegans weren't weak, and she died.
Really?
Yeah. Not funny at all.
That was a Babylon Bee, or that was real?
That was real.
That was real. It was a real story. Not funny at all.
No. I might be able to tell you from experience that making jokes about dying from cancer when somebody has cancer is not a good idea, especially when you're married to them. I'm just saying.
Yeah.
I might have.
Yeah, no, personal experience. Jokes about cancer in front of your mom when she has cancer is not.
Yeah.
No.
Don't recommend it.
All right, you got one more, Josh?
No. I can just talk about this, though.
What's that?
So it's AOC flashing a white supremacy sign during an Instagram session.
Yeah, it's a very
So-
serious issue.
So it's
Are you talking about what you sent to me?
no,
This is different. Okay.
Yeah, so she's talking and then she does the hand motion like this, which
Oh,
is actually white power. So
Yeah,
are you?
but
You're saying that because people were accused of that.
yes, so
There's some sarcasm there.
yep. So I was gonna
Okay.
use it, and then I realized like because it's on it's not even Babylon B. It's a different. It's like their different account of a similar name, and so it's not the B, which
Okay.
is
Which
real news.
yeah.
But
So speaking of AOC, I thought this was quite a clip you sent to me. Does this have video of her
yeah,
saying it?
it's at the bottom.
Okay. So go ahead and go to it. It says AOC nation can only heal once oppressed southern states are
I
liberated.
saw this.
You did?
Yeah. I don't even know what to say to it.
You getting audio or no?
I can't hear anything. There we go.
Actual liberation of southern states.
Nothing?
Liberation
It's pretty quiet, but I can hear it.
of working people from
Yeah, I don't know what happened there. Turn that down. All right, I think we lost it here though, so I can't really respond to it, but go off of this, Josh.
It's like I when I watched the video, I was like, what is she even talking about?
Well, yeah, I mean, there's talk of deprogramming. There's talk of commissions on media. You know that like the government will approve what who can be media.
That's
What's that?
such a slippery slope.
It is.
I think that's a case of like what Tom Holland did when the MCU movies were coming out, where like he would like look at a bunch of posters from a package, and then the last thing he slips out like on a live is like, "Don't show this to anybody." You know what I'm trying to say?
No idea.
Okay, like somebody told her and was like, "Don't tell anybody about this," and then she said something about it, and then
And then realized she wasn't supposed to say anything about it.
A lot of that going right now. What else do we got? We got. I did come across a news article. So one of the things that Nancy Pelosi said, I think we mentioned this last week, that Nancy said one of the motivations for impeaching Trump is that he would not be able to run in 2024, right?
Yeah. Yep.
So I did come across a CNN article that fact checked that, and that's not accurate.
Really?
Yeah. So
And CNN fact checked that.
yeah, it was interesting.
Huh.
A viral tweet claims that impeaching President Donald Trump for a second time would mean he would lose the ability to run for president in 2024. That's not true, nor are other claims in the tweet. The tweet was posted on Friday. It says the following: for those wondering if it's worth impeaching this time, it means he would lose his pension, he'd lose his $1 million a year travel allowance, and he would lose his full Secret Service detail. And number 4, he would lose his ability to run in 2024. It's inaccurate in multiple ways. Trump would lose his post-presidency pension only if the House voted to impeach him and the Senate voted to remove him from office, which he's going to be out of office.
Yeah.
Impeachment itself without removal would not result in Trump being denied any benefits. Well, we already know that because he was impeached once already. It's not like the second impeachment does something different, right?
Right.
By the way, I did have the thought that, and maybe I said this last week too, but he was impeached once. He's impeached a second time. and everyone's saying, well, he is the first president ever to be impeached twice, right?
Hmm.
So my question is, will if the Senate fails to convict a second time, which they are going to fail to do it before he's out of office, but if they don't take it up, will Nancy Pelosi get credit for being the first Speaker of the House to have two failed impeachments that don't result in conviction? So
I guess so.
yeah, well, yeah, I mean that's the reality, but they are not they're not going to do that. Nobody's
Right.
going to actually
Talk
say
about that.
so the second thing is the law makes clear that presidents who have lifetime Secret Service protection never get a $1 million travel allowance. It's unclear that Trump would lose lifetime Secret Service protection even if the Senate voted to remove him and prohibit him from running. I mean, he still is a former president.
Right.
I imagine they're still going to
Like if
protect
anything.
him.
Right. And even if he does lose all that,
Yeah, go ahead.
even if he does lose all that, he's still a billionaire who can hire his own security detail, and like he doesn't need $1 million travel allowance every year.
Right.
You know?
I'm sure he wouldn't mind it if it was still provided, but yeah, he can, and I think there are plenty of supporters who would take on that task gladly.
Yeah.
But even a Senate vote to remove Trump would not prohibit him from running in 2024. For the Senate to ban him from the presidency, it would have to hold an additional vote on this question. And I did hear, and I don't know if it's accurate, but I did hear that censuring him would remove his ability to run in 2024, which they could have done that instead of impeaching him. But it's almost like Nancy Pelosi wanted to just prove herself right with her first, go at impeachment, and
Yep.
so I think that's what's going on here. It seems odd. I'm intrigued by the 10 Republicans who decided to vote for impeachment,
Including our own representative.
Yeah, John Katko voted to impeach. I think he was the first to announce that he would. I actually reached out to him. I'd love to hear what his reasoning was for that. But yeah, and then
He'd be reaching a lot of people if he did
what's that?
come on the show or give you a
We could invite him onto the show and have him explain it right on the show to all of our listening audience, and explain his reasoning, his thought process there. I do know he's making the rounds with local, a lot of local groups, but including Republican committees to explain to them what he's thinking with that. And I think it's probably just a matter of his conscience and what he needed to do. I'm sure there's some political calculations there, but
he has a history of responding to his constituents, and I saw, I think, 5 or 6 separate petitions for him to vote to veto or to impeach. So
yeah, I mean he's in a district that is split, and he I think he won fairly strongly, but it was a competition, and so he does have other constituents. He also has a history of not always going alongside Trump, right? He did not endorse him in 2016. Or in the primary, I think he endorsed somebody else. Maybe he endorsed him later on with something else. Or he did not endorse him with 2016, but he endorsed him in 2020, and that was because of his track record, although he still had his concerns. And so I think that really is what it comes down to: is he's had his concerns all along, and he sees this. He sees the griping by Trump about the election integrity, and he hasn't seen evidence of that. He is a former prosecutor, and he's saying, hey, there's no evidence, and you continue to hype this up. And so I think he's really coming at it from that angle.
Yeah.
What else we got? I got a couple other things, but What else you got?
I have one more thing here. So to all who are looking for a job in these hard times, the Oscar Mayer is hiring hot doggers to drive their giant wiener mobile. So
Are you gonna do it?
I mean, I was looking for a job while I'm at school, but I think I might go a different route.
That might be a tough.
Preferably one that avoids the Wienermobile.
You got to live on the road with that job too.
And the car really is just a giant hot dog.
Yeah, I know. I've seen it. Does it say what it pays?
Let me
Gotta
click
be.
on the CNN article here.
Say CNN.
Oh no, I'm going on and this one's NBC.
While you're pulling that up, I'm gonna go to an article here.
Yeah, I'm not seeing pay, but you need to be a college graduate.
Oh, so you're not even eligible.
So yeah, guess not.
Yeah, you'll get there. Someday
Eventually.
you'll be your driver. So I have an article here from BBC News. This caught my attention. Uganda veteran leader Yoweri Museveni declared election winner with his thumbs up. And there. Listen to this. Uganda's longtime president Yoweri Museveni has been re-elected, electoral officials say, amid accusations of vote rigging by his main rival, Bobi Wine. Mr. Museveni won almost 59% of the vote, with Bobi Wine or Vine trailing with about 35%, the Electoral Commission said. Bobi, a former pop star, earlier vowed to provide evidence of fraud. The Electoral Commission denies there was vote rigging in Thursday's poll. Poll monitors have criticized the government closure of internet access. They say this undermined confidence. Bobi Wine said he would provide evidence of fraud once the internet was restored. I was reading this story.
Sounds familiar.
I was reading it thinking, thank God we don't have to deal with this kind of stuff in our country.
Oh, yeah.
You know, I mean, it would be
such a relief.
These countries that don't have good election systems and don't have confidence in their election systems, it's got to be tough.
Yeah, I don't think it would be. It would be difficult to live there during highly political times.
I'm glad that our system is perfect and there can be zero fraud.
Yeah. Yeah, I can't remember if we talked about this, but it is funny how the tables turn. You know, for years there's been cries on the Democrat side of fraud in elections and issues with elections, and you know, you don't hear much about it from Republicans, and then all of a sudden, you know, this is happening, and you hear a ton from Republicans and on the Democrat side. And no, everything's perfect. Our elections.
Yeah. Hillary just said that she wants to investigate 2016 election again for Russian interference.
Did she say that?
Yeah.
Where'd you see that? Do you know?
I don't remember.
Oh, I don't know. I did hear that she was on with Nancy Pelosi on a podcast. I think it's Hillary's podcast, actually. Yeah, it was. I was so surprised by it. But she indicated that either she presumes or she would like to see Trump's phone records on the 6th of January, because she believes that he had probably been in conversation with Vladimir in Russia. That
really,
I have no idea why. I don't know if she's presuming that he was involved with trying to steal I don't know. It was fascinating that she would throw that out there.
Yeah.
Seemed irresponsible, as a matter of fact, but. COVID news. Be careful what ice cream you eat. Did you hear about this?
No.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Ice cream from China contaminated.
Oh yeah.
You familiar with it?
I did. I think I saw, like, I maybe saw a glimpse of the article or something.
Yeah. 3 samples of ice cream from a Chinese company tested positive for COVID-19, and thousands of boxes of the dessert have been confiscated as a result.
But I thought China didn't have any cases.
Well, I believe this company actually may be in Wuhan, and they did have cases in Wuhan.
Oh, that's right. I forgot they announced that recently.
Yeah. So be careful what ice cream you eat. Don't eat Chinese ice cream. That made me wonder, like, is any of the ice cream we eat from China?
Right. Or what other products from China could have COVID on it?
Yeah. Well, I think the cold is what preserved it. So,
Yeah.
but we eat different produce from around the world. I don't imagine it would stay in that, but one of the last big ones that I've got here is presidential pardons. Have you guys seen any news about the presidential pardons?
I have, yes.
I saw that Tiger King has a makeup trailer and limo posted outside of his prison in case Trump pardons him, so he can do an interview right away.
So he's ready.
Ready to go. Yeah. Any day now.
I thought Josh mentioned the Tiger King earlier, and I thought he was saying that the limo was seen like at the White House or something like that.
Oh.
So I misunderstood. So there were a couple of pardoning stories that came up, and one of them was, can Trump pardon himself? And there's all these questions about whether or not he would pardon himself and his family. And then yesterday, the list was coming out, and Lil Wayne was on the list as a potential, right? But I guess Trump was saying that don't count on any particular person being on there. It may not be who you think. And so let's see. I'm gonna actually pull up the actual site here.
Trump should step down so Pence can pardon him.
What's that?
Trump should step down so Pence can pardon him. Oh,
there you go. Did you hear that, Maya?
I did.
Yeah, there's a good idea.
I'd
be intrigued.
Now you're thinking like a politician, Josh.
I'd be intrigued about what he would be pardoned from, though. So that would be the question, wouldn't it? So I just pulled up this list here. The first name I recognize is Dinesh D'Souza. Campaign contribution fraud. I'm not sure the story there. That'd be an interesting one.
Video games?
Dinesh D'Souza, he's made movies.
Oh, that's right.
He's made documentaries. I think he's got a podcast and some other things that are.
Yeah, I've listened to him on Dave Rubin.
Okay. You're right. Paul Harvey Pogue. Yeah, not recognizing many of these names.
Susan B. Anthony.
Yeah.
Is that what I saw?
Yeah. So I think that was, so this might be his total list of pardons, which, by the way,
it is
an interesting stat. That was, it was, I think Obama had pardoned something like 1,200 people.
Yeah.
wow.
And the list today puts Trump on track for like 100 to 150.
Wow.
Total.
Yeah.
Like throughout his presidency.
Yeah.
So there was, there's been a lot of talk about his pardoning and the controversy around his pardoning, but in fact, he's utilized it less than many others. So
A
Susan B.
lot less.
was one that he had done a while ago, I think. But
Yeah.
she was arrested for illegal voting, and there was controversy around that because some people were trying to say he was, trying to take away her, the thing that made her stand against, there was some sort of reputability that she had for standing in the face of adversity, and that he's trying to remove that. I think he was just trying to do the right thing here. But Michael Flynn, here, you see that, making statements to federal investigators. Of course, that's not new. Looking for George Papadopoulos, false statements. I'm guessing Alex Van is probably related to his investigation there. Interesting stuff here. Here, you guys. Well, no, that's the end of the list there.
Yeah, I'm not seeing any more that I recognize.
I don't know what Lil Wayne's real name is, so I don't know if he's on there, but we just don't recognize his name or what. I heard Snoop Dogg might be on there.
Really?
I didn't see him on there either.
What would Snoop Dogg be pardoned for?
I don't know.
I don't think he's in hot water anymore.
Not with federal crimes.
Yeah.
I mean, not that I know of. But I don't know what I have no idea what Lil Wayne's in trouble for either.
Yeah, I don't remember. I think it was maybe like a possession of firearm or something else.
Okay. So are these things that they've already served? He would have already served his time for? Or?
I don't think so. I just saw a tweet about how it was like 4 pictures, and the caption of it was like, "Oh, it all makes sense now." And the first 3 pictures were like Lil Wayne talking about how he likes Trump, and then him talking with Trump, and him shaking Trump's hand, and then the 4th one was Lil Wayne pardoned by Trump.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
that was all I saw on it.
President Bill Clinton pardoned 140 people in his final hours of his presidency.
140.
Yeah.
But do you know how many total? I'm not sure what his total was, but I think it was up there. I think
465.
465 total?
Yeah.
Okay.
How much of his pardons do you think were to cover his own butt?
President Obama? Or
no, Clinton.
Yeah.
Well, both.
Yeah, it's hard to know. I think I'm intrigued by the process, like how the names get to the desk of the president. And, I imagine there's a lot of lobbying type of activity going on, people calling, writing, on behalf of, and then, somebody has to probably brief him on the name and their background and why they think it's his advisors probably have to give him some counsel on that. But I'm intrigued by the whole process. I don't know that he knows the story of everybody. I don't know that President Obama knew all 1,300 or however many it was, stories that he knew. I want to pardon these people, so it'd be an interesting process to follow. All right. A couple of other quick stories. One I'll mention is there was an execution this week. Did you see anything about an execution?
Mm-mm.
So, Lisa Montgomery. And you see the title here. Lisa Montgomery, U.S. executes only women on federal death row. Now, I tend to read into headlines, so automatically I'm like, all right, why is it worded that way? It's the only women on death row. Well, it's not surprising that there are more men than women on death row, right?
Considering men get charged for things more severely.
Well, yeah, I mean, it just more frequently, right? I mean, men are more predominantly perpetrators of violent crime, and so having worked in the prison system, I've seen that. There are more men than there are women in prison. Period. I'm not surprised that there's more men on death row. Intriguing that she was the only woman on death row, but I what I'm what I so that kind of jumped out at me. All right, that she's the only woman, like as though like they should have waited till there were other women on death row. I don't know what the point of that headline. But here's the other side, the thing that caught my attention about it. I mean, we live in a state where there aren't executions, and honestly, for myself, I always flip flop on the death penalty. I'm always one to, I always jump back and forth on my feelings about it. But Lisa Montgomery, the only female inmate on federal death row in the U.S., executed for murder. She received a lethal injection at a prison in Terre Haute, Indiana, after a last-minute stay of execution was lifted by the U.S. Supreme Court. Case attracted attention because her lawyers argued she was mentally ill and suffered serious abuse as a child. The 52-year-old strangled a pregnant woman before cutting out and kidnapping her baby in Missouri in 2004. Her victim, 23-year-old Bobby Jo Stinnett, bled to death, but her baby was safely recovered and returned to her family. And
wow.
Fascinating story. I'll be honest though, when I first read it, I was glancing over the story and I thought she murdered a pregnant mother and the baby died. I didn't realize that she kidnapped the baby as well. And I was intrigued by the story because, that question of, when it's a pregnant mother, it's considered double homicide, right?
Right.
And so, I know we talked about abortion, and I imagine one of these days we'll have a pretty lengthy conversation about that. But it's always intriguing to me that it's abortion's okay. It's just a fetus when it's a decision to terminate the pregnancy. But when somebody else decides to terminate the pregnancy by murder or by I've seen situations where a fetus dies, a baby dies because of a fight or abuse or things like that, and that's a charge of murder.
Yeah, and it's also interesting how, and I've seen that was from the BBC, right?
Yeah,
from BBC. I've seen articles on BBC about how, like, if a baby isn't born yet, it's just a clump of cells. But so, like, begs the question: was it a clump of cells until she cut it out, and then when she took it out, was it a baby? Like, what is?
When did it become the baby?
Right.
But fascinating story. Terrible what happened all those years ago, and I just thought it just caught my attention as news that a lot of people probably didn't care about because I didn't see it on TV at all.
Yeah.
We'll wrap up a little early here, but anything else you guys have?
No. I talked about everything from the Wienermobile to aliens, so
You got it. You got it covered.
oh yeah.
I want to close off with one final thing here, and that I'm just making sure I didn't miss something big. But the stimulus, the stimulus is back in the news. The stimulus was in the news because Trump was pushing for $2,000 instead of $600, and Congress passed the $600 stimulus. And now Joe Biden has unveiled his 1.9 trillion U.S. economic relief package. And interesting stuff here. It's about COVID, right? What was the last one? The last one was right about 1 trillion. Is that correct? Do you remember?
I don't remember.
Okay. I think it was right around 1 trillion. And so this is actually, the plan is to direct payments of $1,400 that would come on top of the $600 that already came out. So it would complete the $2,000 that Trump had suggested. But I just thought, well, let's talk about stimulus for a minute, because you got two young guys and an old guy talking about stimulus. And so, what are your perspectives on it when you heard about it? When you heard Trump was pushing for two, and this battle? I mean, we can get into some of the political negotiations and the frustrations about that, but let me hear what you think about the stimulus in general.
Well, I think that because I know some people who are just against the stimulus packages. I think that if the government is the one telling businesses to shut down, then it is up to the government to provide some stimulus, since they're the ones stopping them from making their money. But I know a lot of people are actually, because of the impeachment and how quickly the House was able to get through that. I saw a lot of people saying something along the lines of, so how could you do that so quick, but it took you months and months to release a stimulus bill that didn't even help us out?
Yeah, so the political side is, I think Pelosi all but admitted, or maybe she actually did admit, that she delayed on stimulus because she didn't want it when Trump was up for reelection, right? So she intentionally
Right.
delayed there. There was pushback on the 2000 because it was pre-election, all that kind of stuff. The Georgia deal, right? So there's all these political things going on with it. But what's your thoughts on? I mean, I think we're 5-6 trillion at this point in the last year of stimulus, right? Of aid, of funds that have been put. So $6 trillion, $5-6 trillion. I think we should look it up, so I'm not completely misrepresenting. But on the conservative side, let's say $4 trillion, right? So I'm pretty sure it's more than that, but $4 trillion of stimulus in this last year. And we're beneficiaries of that, right? We've received those funds. But what's your guys' thoughts of the stimulus in general?
For the amount that has been in stimulus, or that like the 4 trillion, compared to how much each business and US citizen is getting, it's kind of frustrating to look at the numbers to see how much money is going elsewhere into other things.
Yeah, so
I think a lot of people would be less upset if American business was focused on.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of stuff that's gone overseas. There's been, even in the very first one, there was a lot, what they would call pork, right? Just stuff that was shoved into there that had nothing to do with stimulating the economy, that had nothing to do with trying to help people that are being affected by COVID. It was just, all right, we're going to pass a huge bill, something that nobody made the entire thing of, and we're just going to shove as much in there as we can.
Like the stimulus package, like that bill made pirating, streaming, a felony, in a stimulus package.
Right. Yeah, and I've always been frustrated with this idea that they're pushing one thing, and so they shove other stuff in there. I did some math. This was a while ago, so I think I'm still remembering it correctly though. But if you just did $3 trillion, right? We have somewhere upwards of 125 million households in our country. Okay, 125 million households. I don't know how many small businesses, but there's a lot. But 125 million households. If we were, aggressive and said, you know what, 50 million households really are struggling, like they're in rough shape. And I think that's probably high, but let's say 50 million. $3 trillion could give 50 million households, I think it's $60,000. So if you cut that in half and say, all right, 50 million households get $30,000 because they have had no work, whatever. It's still a lot of money, probably too much money to just blanket give to all these households. But my point is, you'd still have $1.5 trillion to give to small businesses that are struggling.
Right.
And so, if you want to say justify $3 trillion, like we could have solved everybody's problems and woes with $3 trillion very easily, but there's just been a lot of junk that's gone elsewhere. So that's my frustration with it. I will tell you, if and when I get a check for the rest of the $1,400, I will not send it back. I will take it and I will spend it. So, but I'm not a big fan of the idea of just, I don't know if they're, just printing money or whatever. It's just, but here's the issue. It's debt that we can't repay. And that's my concern all along. Any other closing thoughts, gentlemen?
Nope. No more thoughts for the day.
Thoughts are done. Thoughts are over.
Yep.
All right. Well, I think we covered a lot of good stuff. We're going to get better at this. It's been fun though. I'm enjoying it. Hopefully the recording worked well, and we'll tinker with it. I do want to tinker with some other ideas here, but for now, this is it. So great to be with you.
And to all the viewers who definitely watched all the way through up till this point, do make sure to like and subscribe.
Right. I didn't mention that at the beginning, but I'm sure all of our viewers will watch right till now. So yes, like, subscribe, turn a bell on or something. I don't know. What
Turn notifications on.
Notifications on. Josiah was telling me all about it today. So, all right. Hey, thanks for watching News You Don't Care About. Have a good night, guys.